Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, just grabbing your phone off the nightstand and seeing a global emergency broadcast.
Right, but not like a weather alert or a political crisis or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's an announcement that a brand new kingdom has just been established right here on Earth, and the doors are open.
You can just walk right in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can walk in and claim a life of absolute perfect freedom. But, there's a massive catch.
Oh, there's always a catch.
Right. To cross that threshold, you have to completely abandon your country. You have to surrender every single piece of property you own, so like your house, your car, your savings.
Wow.
And perhaps most shockingly of all, you have to entirely erase your traditional concept of family.
I mean, it is the ultimate uncompromising societal reset button.
Totally.
You're basically being asked to walk away from the entire infrastructure of modern human life. Everything that grounds you,
Yeah.
everything that tells you who you are.
Borders, your bank accounts.
Exactly. Your bloodlines just gone in an instant.
It's not just moving to a new neighborhood. It is a total, brutal teardown of reality as we know it. And we are looking at a text today from 2022 that outlines this exact scenario.
Yeah, it's this fascinating, really radical blueprint called An Introduction to the Kingdom of the Greatest Creator.
Written under the name Deformed Buddha, right? Which serves as a pseudonym or like a title for the architect of this whole philosophy.
Right. Now, before we get into the nuts and bolts of how this utopia or dystopia, depending on how you look at
Very
it,
true.
how it actually operates, we need to make something crystal clear about our mission on this deep dive today. You and I are acting strictly as impartial guides.
Yeah, we are not here to endorse this worldview, nor are we here to debunk it or take sides politically or religiously.
Not at all. We are treating this document as a philosophical thought experiment. Our goal is simply to unpack the mechanics of what it proposes.
Because it attempts to solve the oldest problems of human civilization by basically burning civilization to the ground.
Yeah, quite literally.
And if you're listening to this, you're likely someone who is always hungry for new perspectives on how humanity could be organized.
We can promise you a deeply thought-provoking journey today. We are going to look at a vision that deconstructs modern life down to the studs.
So let's just jump right in. The text doesn't just casually suggest this new kingdom, it insists on it with, terrifying urgency.
Yeah, it actually starts by bridging the ancient past with the present moment. It anchors its credibility in antiquity before delivering this massive modern shockwave.
Right. It opens by quoting Jesus Christ from over 2,000 years ago.
Specifically, it references the book of Matthew.
Yes.
It quotes Matthew 6.3133.
The passage telling people not to worry about what they will eat or drink or wear.
Exactly. But rather to seek first the kingdom. And then it drops Matthew 4.17, where Jesus says, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand."
So it takes this deeply established ancient prophecy of a forthcoming divine kingdom and just yanks it aggressively into the present day.
Yeah, Deiform Buddha essentially declares that the kingdom of the greatest creator has officially appeared.
Not in the afterlife, not in some ethereal, cloudy realm. Right here, on Earth, right now.
And it comes with a severe ultimatum, which is fascinating. It claims our current way of life is rapidly running out of time.
Yeah, let's talk about that language because it is completely absolute.
It is. It tells the reader that everything you have on Earth will disappear.
It frames the pursuit of earthly possessions, status, and wealth as nothing more than the pursuit of, quote, dreams and bubbles.
Dreams and bubbles, yeah. It sets up a definitive binary choice. Enter this new kingdom and survive, or stay clinging to your old life and vanish along with it.
Let's hit pause right there. Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Why do these grand societal blueprints always start with a massive existential threat?
That's a great question.
The text doesn't say, hey, here's a nice alternative way to live if you are feeling a bit burned out by modern capitalism.
Right, come join our commune.
Yeah. It immediately jumps to a stark binary of survival versus total annihilation. It feels almost coercive,
Well, look at the psychological function of that ultimatum. When a text presents a vision that requires you to abandon literally everything you know and love, it cannot allow you a single ounce of lingering affection for your current life.
Oh, I see. So the threat of vanishing acts as a psychological solvent.
Exactly. If your house, your career, your social status are framed as mere dreams and bubbles that are about to pop anyway, it suddenly becomes a lot easier to let them go.
That makes total sense. Think of it like administering anesthesia before a major surgery.
That's a perfect way to put it. The ultimatum numbs your attachment to the past, so you are prepared for a total, agonizing paradigm shift.
It's forcing you to burn your own ships before you can even see the new shore. You cannot bring a single shred of the old world into the new one.
None of it.
So, okay, let's say you actually do it. You burn the ships, you accept the urgency, you let go of your attachments, and you decide to join. What exactly are you walking into?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Because a society, no matter how utopian, requires rules. If the old system of presidents and parliaments is gone, how is this new place actually governed?
The governance structure is incredibly specific, though. It looks absolutely nothing like a modern democratic or authoritarian state.
At all.
It operates on a strict cosmic hierarchy. The supreme authority of this kingdom is the greatest creator.
Right. And below that,
Below that, the highest constitution, the framework that dictates reality itself, is called the way of the greatest creator, or simply the Tao.
okay, the Tao. And then beneath the Tao, the highest law applied to the actual citizens is this comprehensive behavioral code called the 800 Values for Human Beings.
Yeah, I want to break those down because throwing around terms like the Tao or 800 values can sound a bit abstract.
It really can. You've got the creator at the absolute top, the Tao acting as the constitution, and then these 800 values acting as the daily law.
Right, but think of the 800 values, not as 10 commandments carved in stone, but as a massive, highly specific operating system for human behavior.
Like software.
Exactly. It is an
Wow.
algorithmic approach to living. The text implies that if everyone downloads and operates on these 800 very specific principles of kindness, non-interference, and harmony, you simply don't need police, courts, or judges.
Because the law is completely internalized,
Precisely.
which is a completely top-down structure,
Yeah.
right? Which usually sounds terrifying, but then the text pivots hard. It outlines the absolute freedoms granted to every single citizen at the bottom of that structure.
Yeah, it lists what it calls the 8 rights of freedom.
Right, and those are the rights of survival, creation, migration, speech, the individual thought, learning, and refusal.
And if you look closely at that list, many of them, like speech, thought, learning, migration, they are amplified versions of rights we value deeply in modern democratic societies.
And in this kingdom, they are completely stripped of bureaucratic limitations.
Yeah. Migration, for example, means you can wander the earth without a passport, a visa, or a border patrol agent stopping you.
But the one that really stalks me in my tracks is that last one, the right of refusal.
It's a big one.
Out of all those massive concepts, survival, creation, thought, the right of refusal seems like the ultimate wild card. It sounds like the ultimate opt-out button for society.
It does.
So how can a system with an absolute supreme authority, the greatest creator, simultaneously champion the ultimate individual freedom to just say, no, I refuse?
Well, that tension gets right to the core of how this text redefines authority entirely.
How so?
In our current world, authority is inherently coercive. If you refuse to pay taxes or refuse to obey a traffic light, the state eventually uses physical force against you to ensure compliance.
Right, you get arrested.
Exactly. But this text proposes a system where the authority of the greatest creator and the Tao is so perfectly aligned with human nature that coercion becomes obsolete.
So the right of refusal exists because, theoretically, in a state of true cosmic alignment, no one would ever need to be forced to do anything.
You got it. The system runs on natural harmony, not forced compliance.
I mean, I get the theory, but human behavior isn't gravity. You don't need police to enforce gravity, it just is. But people are messy.
Very messy.
We are selfish, we get jealous, we have bad days. How does this blueprint account for human nature if there is no one to enforce the rules when someone inevitably refuses to cooperate?
Well, the text makes a massive assumption here. It argues that what we call messy human nature, the selfishness, the jealousy, the hoarding, is actually a symptom of the broken artificial systems we live in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It posits that if you remove the scarcity, remove the borders, and remove the pressure to accumulate wealth, you literally cure the disease of selfishness.
So if someone exercises their right of refusal, they aren't punished by a police officer.
No, they just step out of the harmony of the Tao, which is its own consequence.
Okay, so if the supreme creator handles the macro laws of the universe and the individual has absolute freedom to just exist in harmony, that leaves a massive vacuum in the middle.
A huge one.
Where are the mayors? Where are the priests? What happens to the bottom-up structures that humans have spent thousands of years building to organize ourselves?
They are systematically and thoroughly eradicated.
Eradicated, just gone.
Gone. The text is brutally efficient about erasing human-made intermediaries. Let's look at religion first. The text states that in the kingdom of the greatest creator, there are 0 physical religious buildings.
No churches, no Buddhist temples, no Taoist temples.
None whatsoever.
But it doesn't just bulldoze them and leave a void. It replaces them with the natural world, which is actually a stunningly poetic concept.
It really is beautiful in a way.
It says the sun, the moon, and the stars are the churches. The mountains and rivers are the Buddhist temples, and the wind, the clouds, the rain, and the snow are the Taoist temples.
Consider the mechanism of what is actually happening there, though. Throughout history, institutions have acted as the gatekeepers to the divine.
Right. You go to a specific building built by humans, operated by an ordained human priest or monk to connect with a higher power.
And you often pay a tithe for the privilege.
Exactly.
By turning the weather, the landscape, and the cosmos into the temples, the text completely democratizes the spiritual experience. It argues that humanity doesn't need bricks, mortar, or middlemen to speak to the divine.
It puts the individual in direct, unmediated contact with the universe, and it applies that exact same mechanism of erasure to geopolitics.
Yeah, let's talk about the countries.
The text declares there are no countries anymore. The entire Earth is simply considered one shared home for all people.
No borders.
No organized religions, nature itself is the only religion, and there are no political parties. You don't have Democrats, Republicans, or parliaments.
So what replaces them?
In their place, people simply form what the text calls free associations and gatherings.
It is the ultimate dissolution of borders.
Yeah.
Think about the psychological impact of that. Physical borders, religious borders, ideological borders, they all rely on the concept of exclusion.
Us versus them.
Exactly. The text diagnoses nearly all human conflict as a symptom of these artificial divisions. By erasing the country, the religion, and the party, it attempts to permanently delete the concept of us versus them from the human hard drive.
There is only us living in a shared space governed by the natural laws of the Tao.
It's a planetary scale macro shift.
Wiping out nations and organized religion is huge, but conceptually, most people can imagine it. We've seen John Lennon sing about it in Imagine.
Sure.
But where this text becomes vastly more intimate and honestly profoundly shocking is when it zooms in and starts dismantling the microstructures of our lives.
Oh, you were talking about the complete destruction of the nuclear family.
Yes. The text explicitly states that in the kingdom of the greatest creator, there is no marriage, no family, and no relatives in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
When I first read that, my jaw hit the floor.
It is usually the absolute hardest concept for readers to digest. It cuts against millions of years of human biology and social evolution.
Completely.
But we have to look at how the text redefines these terms. It doesn't just ban human connection.
Right. It says that to be kind to each other and love each other freely is marriage.
And it says that people who are kind to and love each other are family. Therefore, all citizens in the kingdom are considered relatives.
But see, expanding the definition of family until it encompasses literally everyone inherently destroys the exclusivity that makes a family what it is.
Explain what you mean by that.
In our world, your family is a highly specific, tight-knit group of people you prioritize over strangers. You protect them. You share your resources with them.
Right.
If a mother has one piece of bread, she gives it to her child, not a stranger's child. This blueprint says no. Everyone is your relative. Kindness is your only marriage.
Well, let's follow the logic of the text to understand why it demands this. We talked about the erasure of national borders. The traditional nuclear family is, fundamentally, the smallest possible border. It is an exclusionary boundary drawn around 3 or 4 people.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
The text views even that tiny, intimate border as a massive barrier to universal harmony. Because the moment you prioritize your biological child over another citizen, you introduce inequality into the system.
You introduce nepotism. You introduce the hoarding of resources for your specific bloodline.
Exactly.
That is a staggering way to look at human love. It frames a mother's exclusive love for her child as the root seed of societal inequality.
It's intense.
I have to admit, the logic tracks with the rest of the blueprint, but it is incredibly chilling. So if we don't have traditional families to support and protect, and we don't have countries to pay taxes to, how does the economy actually function?
Well, people still need to eat.
Exactly. Houses still need to be built.
The text outlines an economic engine that is surprisingly ruthless regarding participation.
Ruthless. How so?
It explicitly states that there is no one who, quote, gets something for nothing. There are 0 free riders allowed.
Okay.
And crucially, there are no officials. There is no bureaucratic managing class sitting in offices living off the physical labor of others. Every single citizen must be an active creator of wealth.
But again, it redefines the terminology. It says you can create material wealth, spiritual wealth, or what it calls soul wealth, or a combination of all three.
So you might be out in the fields growing food, which is material wealth.
Or you might be creating art, teaching, or developing philosophy, which falls under spiritual or soul wealth.
All right, but you have to contribute to the collective pot. You cannot just consume.
But ask yourself, how does a society enforce that rule without officials? If there are no bureaucrats, no tax collectors, and no police, what stops someone from just laying in a hammock all day and eating the food someone else grew?
Right. What is the mechanism?
Yeah, exactly.
The mechanism is social alignment and the Tao. Remember the 800 values?
Right, the operating system.
If you are not creating wealth, you are violating the fundamental operating system of the kingdom. You are breaking the harmony.
I see.
In a society where everyone is hyper-attuned to the collective well-being, someone who consistently takes without giving would naturally find themselves ostracized.
They would be exercising their right of refusal to participate, which effectively means they are choosing to remove themselves from the benefits of the kingdom.
It's a self-correcting ecosystem, which leads perfectly into the ultimate dynamic of ownership and power in this new society.
The text states that all power and all resources belong solely to the greatest creator. They do not belong to any human individual.
None.
No one has the right to dominate anyone else, and no one can enjoy the welfare brought by power.
No landlords,
Mm.
no CEOs, no inherited estates.
And here is a line that really summarizes the entire physical experience of this kingdom. Every citizen has nothing but can enjoy everything.
It's a powerful statement.
So what does this actually mean for daily life? It sounds like the ultimate radical sharing economy. When I was trying to conceptualize this, the best analogy I could come up with is that it feels like a universal library card for existence itself.
A library card for existence.
Yeah.
I like the direction of that. Let's test that logic. How does it hold up against the text?
Well, think about the mechanics of a public library. When you walk through those doors, you do not own a single book in that building.
Right.
You have absolutely nothing in terms of personal property. But as long as you follow the basic rules of the library, keeping quiet, treating the books well, you have VIP access to read every single volume they have.
You can sit in the comfortable chairs. You can use the high-speed internet.
Exactly. You can enjoy all the resources. You have nothing, but you enjoy everything.
And the moment you try to claim a specific book as your own, the moment you try to hoard it in your bag or refuse to return it, you are violating the harmony of the library.
Yes.
You are asserting personal ownership where it fundamentally does not exist.
Exactly. And, oh, sorry, take that a step further. Because no one owns the books, no patron has power over any other patron.
Yes, true.
I can't charge you $5 to read a book because it isn't mine to rent out. That seems to exactly what this text is proposing, but scaled up to cover food, housing, land, transportation, and experiences.
You don't own the land you farm. You don't own the house you sleep in.
You are just checking them out from the greatest creator's grand library.
It's a solid analogy, but let's push back on it a little bit.
All right.
In a real library, there is a librarian. If you start hoarding books or shouting, the librarian calls security and kicks you out.
Sure.
In the kingdom of the greatest creator, we have established there are no officials, there are no police. So who is the librarian enforcing the rules of this cosmic sharing economy?
That is the million-dollar question. And based on the text, the answer seems to be the Tao itself, combined with the collective consciousness of the citizens.
So the community itself is the librarian.
Yeah. If you start hoarding food, you are so out of step with the 800 values that the system naturally rejects you. It's a massive leap of faith in the inherent goodness of human beings once artificial scarcity is removed.
It really is. Your analogy encapsulates the core, non-negotiable trade-off the text demands. You are trading the psychological security of personal ownership for the physical freedom of infinite access.
Right.
Look at our current system. We spend our entire lives exhausted trying to accumulate property, hoard wealth, and gain power just to secure our survival and the survival of our biological families.
It is a relentless, lifelong pursuit of things.
The dreams and bubbles we talked about at the beginning.
Precisely, it's the hamster wheel. By removing ownership entirely, the text argues that humans are finally freed from the crushing burden of accumulation.
You don't need to stress about a mortgage. You don't need to hoard canned goods.
Echoing that opening quote from the book of Matthew, you don't worry about what you will eat or what you will wear.
You just exist, create your unique material or soul wealth, and enjoy the infinite resources of the kingdom.
It is a breathtakingly massive vision, whether you find it deeply inspiring or utterly terrifying.
Absolutely.
To sum up this incredible blueprint we've been unpacking, Deiform Buddha is presenting a final, resounding invitation to the reader.
The text insists that this kingdom has already been born on earth. The door is supposedly unlocked and open right now.
It urges the reader. Keep knocking on the door of the kingdom of the greatest creator. As long as you keep knocking, the door will open for you.
It is an invitation to accept the most extreme trade-off imaginable. You must surrender all your personal ownership, cut your institutional ties, let go of your national identity, and willingly dissolve your traditional family structures.
And in exchange, the text promises absolute individual freedom within the bounds of the Tao, perfect natural harmony, and ultimate survival while the old world inevitably collapses under its own weight.
It brings right back to that initial image.
Waking up to that global broadcast.
Yeah. Being offered the keys to a literal utopia, but only if you agree to leave your entire previous self at the door.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, lingering thought to mull over on your own.
We've spent a lot of time examining the mechanics of a society where individuals truly have nothing but enjoy everything.
A place where the relentless human drive to accumulate property is completely eradicated.
Right. And here is the provocative question I just can't stop thinking about.
What's that?
If humanity actually achieved this state, if we truly had no personal property to protect, no national borders to defend, and no exclusive family lineage to elevate, would human ambition naturally flourish?
That's a great point. Without the pressure of survival, would we freely create that material, spiritual, or soul wealth and become our highest selves?
Or, consider the darker alternative, does human motivation actually depend on the very things this kingdom seeks to destroy?
That's the crux of it. Does our drive to invent, to build, and to progress actually stem directly from our desire for personal ownership, our defined borders, and our fierce, exclusive loyalty to our families?
It's something to think about.
I will leave you to ponder that. Think about what actually gets you out of bed in the morning. Figure out for yourself whether true freedom comes from having access to everything, or if meaning relies on the things we claim as our own. Until next time, keep diving deep.